Thank you and good morning, Senator Osten. It's so wonderful to see all of you here today. In just a few moments, we will, by proclamation of Governor Ned Lamont, formally acknowledge May 6th as Red Dress and Missing and Murdered Indigenous Persons Day in Connecticut. I would like to take a quick moment to thank Brandy Sawyer Emmons, her husband Dan Emmons, her dad Tom Sawyer, and their daughter Maddie for the transformation of our beautiful Capitol South lobby into a small forest adorned with red dresses hanging from trees, which I'll speak about more in a moment. Thank you also to Senate staff Eileen Connor, Chris Marino, Matt Ferlino, and Marvin Bowe for their work in organizing and promoting this very important event. I also extend a warm welcome to dignitaries and members of our Connecticut tribal nations and tribes. The Red Dress Project and the red dresses on display behind me are in sizes from infant to adult and provide a palpable and emotional reaction to the epidemic of violence against Indigenous women. Each dress symbolizes an Indigenous woman who has been murdered or is missing, representing just a portion of thousands of people. In North America, the scores of missing and murdered Indigenous women, known as MMIW, don't get the mainstream attention they deserve. In the United States, homicide is the third leading cause of death among Native women ages 10 to 24, and Native women are victims of murder more than 10 times the national average. In Canada, the government's national inquiry found similar horrifying statistics, including that Indigenous women are 7 times more likely to be murdered by serial killers than non-Indigenous women. For decades, Native American and Alaskan Native communities have struggled with high rates of assault, abduction, and murder of tribal members. Community advocates describe the crisis as a legacy of generations of government policies of forced removal, land seizures, and violence inflicted on Native peoples. Overall, more than 1.5 million American Indian and Alaska Native women have experienced violence in their lifetime. Native American and Alaskan Native rates of murder, rape, and violent crime are all higher than the national averages. When looking at missing and murdered cases, data shows that Native American and Alaskan Native women make up a significant portion of missing and murdered individuals. According to the Centers for Disease Control, non-Hispanic American Indian and Alaskan Native females experience the second highest rate of homicide. Additionally, homicide was the top leading cause of death for American Indian and Alaskan Native females aged 1 to 45. More than 2 in 5 non-Hispanic American Indian and Alaskan Native women, 43.7%, have been raped in their lifetime. Non-Hispanic American Indian and Alaskan Native males had the second highest rate of homicide compared with males in all other racial and ethnic groups. Homicide was in the top 10 leading causes of death for American Indian and Alaskan Native males aged 1 to 54 years old. While these rates are staggering, research data shows that national averages hide the extremely high rates of murder against American Indian and Alaskan Native women present in some counties comprised primarily of tribal lands. In fact, less than half of violent victimizations against women are ever reported to the police. Reports indicate that there is no reliable count of how many Native women go missing or who are killed each year. Researchers have found that women are often misclassified as Hispanic or Asian or other racial categories on missing persons forms, and that thousands have been left off a federal missing persons list. This data is horrifying, truly. So today, here in Connecticut, in our beautiful state capital, we honor Red Dress Day and Missing and Murdered Indigenous People Day. It is a time we have set aside to honor those people. And this gives us all an opportunity to learn about this historic, social, and civil rights tragedy that speaks to a deep and abiding cultural wounding that needs to be addressed. Through this event, which began actually a year ago with a spark, with an introduction in the Senate chamber, and brought together our tribal nations and our tribes all across Connecticut. and quietly began last Wednesday with the installation of this red dress exhibit, and culminating today with this beautiful gathering of people, our tribes, concerned citizens, elected officials, government officials. Connecticut is part of a national effort to continue to increase awareness and transparency of the missing and murdered Indigenous people crisis, and to honor and respect the lives of Indigenous people who have been the victims of these crimes. We also celebrate Native Indigenous cultural traditions today through the Utah Sacred Drum Ceremony we all witnessed a moment ago, and the Red Sand Project activation that will take place at the end of this ceremony outside of the Capitol. Thank you all for your participation here today and for helping to bring awareness to this tragic issue. Thank you. It is my pleasure to reintroduce Senator Kathy Osten of the 19th District.